kidnapping for ransom in the Northwest geopolitical zone. The Senate notes with serious concern the kidnap of 5 female students of the Federal University Fuduma in Katsina State by gunmen from their hostel rooms in the early hours of Wednesday, October 4th, 2023. Notes also that a fortnight ago, 25 school students of Federal University of Gusau were also abducted. Fortunately, 16 of them were successfully freed 3 days later during the rescue conducted by security agencies. Worried that these kidnap incidents have thrown the university and academic communities into a panic mood, aware that 8 core members have been kidnapped by suspected terrorists on their way to camp in Zamfara State on Monday, August 21st, 2023, the core members were traveling in an Akwa Ibom transport company bus from Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, to Sokoto State for the 1-year mandatory national service when their vehicle was intercepted by the terrorists. The Senate recalls that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Ebetokun, when appointed in June 2023, amongst his first set of action plans was the creation of the School Protection Squad, an initiative aimed at enhancing the safety of schools and children. Quoting the public relations officers of the Nigerian Police, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejoji, he said, and I quote, "The squad will be equipped with the relevant assets and advanced training to effectively respond to security challenges facing educational institutions across the country." Concerned that the frequency of kidnapping for ransom has become almost a daily and weekly occurrence in major towns and communities in the Northwest geopolitical zone, the Senate resolves to commend the security agencies for their ongoing effort in tackling the menace of kidnapping, insurgency, and other security challenges. However, urge the various security agencies in Nigeria to be more proactive and ensure these kidnapped students are all released without delay. The Senate calls on the military and other security agencies to conduct a special operation to dislodge the bandits in the Northwest Zone. The Senate also urged the security agencies to enhance and coordinate their intelligence sharing. The Senate directs the Nigeria Police to ensure that the School Protection Squad demonstrates a clear commitment to protecting school children and provide a safe environment where students and teachers can engage in teaching and learning without the fear of being attacked or kidnapped. The Senate directs the Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure the relevant security agencies comply. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, recently there is a voice message by one of the notorious kingpin known as Dogo Gide, who has promised that anytime, in fact, that he has just started kidnapping and armed robbery, that anytime he abducts 10 people, he will make sure he kills 7 and then free 3. So this is very, very urgent, and I think it is important for the federal government to take a very serious action on this. I so submit, Mr. President.
Representing Ogun West Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me start by sympathizing with the mover of this motion, but let me put it on record that this is the second time that students will be kidnapped from 2 different universities. The first one is from Zamfara State, and the second one that happened on the 4th of October is from Katsina State. Mr. President, what this goes to show is that this is a new trend in our society, because this current administration, without having any reservation or doubt, have at least achieved some mileage in trying to curtail all this kidnapping, banditry or so, as far as within the last 4 months of this administration. It has reduced drastically. But with this new trend, I want to believe these kidnappers are living within these particular areas where these students are being kidnapped. And if you noticed, the rescue mission which our military have engaged or have embarked upon have only succeeded to the extent of getting the release of 2 or 3 of these students. So they are still having these students within that area where they have been kidnapped. Mr. President, this takes us back to what we have been agitating for in the last 6 to 7 years, which is the issue of the state police. Mr. President, I don't know, maybe this idea of insecurity will continue to discuss every day, and we are not providing a major solutions. I can tell you, it's on record, that both the 7th and the 8th Senate, 8th and the 9th Senate, have organized 2 security summits. Millions of naira have been spent. All these people that are heading our security agencies were invited to provide solutions to all these security challenges. A report was generated and it was transmitted to the executive as part of our own contribution to addressing this insecurity in our nation. But what do we have? For those 2 times this summit was carried out, nothing was done in this regard. Mr. President, I want to also put it on record that at some point in the life of the 9th Senate or 8th Senate, we passed a bill that is about the community policing. Since that bill has been passed into law, I don't know, and I cannot refer to any area that can say, yes, community policing is happening in my area. Sir, we need to get these governors involved. And these governors will not fund federal police. Rather than they will just be giving peanuts. But then we bring about state policing, because they will be responsible for the funding. And the fears which we express, which has to do with maybe during the election, we can separate this duty. Where the federal police handle national election, the state police will take care of the insecurity in their states. Until we start looking beyond what is currently happening, my dear brother, my dear colleague, this thing will continue. Because these kidnappers are not imported from anywhere. They are from the states. And they are Nigerians. They are Nigerians. So if we should take the bull by the horn in this 10th Senate and amend the Constitution, creating state policing, I can tell you that will be light at the end of the tunnel. So it's a drastic, it's issue that what is happening now demand a drastic approach for us in addressing this insecurity that have taken over the entire society of our country. I so submit, Mr. President.
So if you count the number of motions that we had since the beginning of 10th Senate about security, it's about 13 times, and this is the 14th time. Mr. President, we cannot continue to do things all the time, and we're not getting results. And why at the same way, and we're not getting results? We need to be proactive. Sir, the issue of security, while we are discussing it, is not about the media. We cannot, sir, discuss internal security of this country in a plenary session. My position on this matter, you recall, and some people can recall, in 2003, we passed a motion in the House that the security chiefs of the nation come fortnightly to brief the Senate President and the Speaker. That has been abandoned. What we ought to do now, Mr. President, is to set a whole one day legislative day, I invite the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Air Force, and the Inspector General of Police, and the DSS, and the NIA, and bring them here. Not in plenary, sir. In the letter, please, let me land. In the letter that the Senate President should send to these people is to be able to tell them, this nation is falling. What are you bringing? What are your challenges? And they come in, all of them, sir. We start from the National Security Advisor. He tells us his challenges. The Inspector General of Police tells us his challenges, but in a closed-door session. Mr. President, nowhere in this country, in the whole, that security issues are discussed in plenaries. Nowhere. Because as we are discussing it, these people are also looking at us. Whatever you say is being recorded, is being seen. Believe you me, sir, we are not going to get a headway if we continue to keep on these motions. It's not going to take us anywhere. We have to discuss this in a closed-door session, not in plenaries. And that is my submission.
Thank you. I represent here North. Mr. President, the issue of security in Nigeria has been at the front burner for a long time, and kidnapping, and of course, members of the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, discussing the insecurity in the country has been on for a long time. Since 2007, when I joined the Senate, it has always been security issues. And in the 8th and the 9th sessions of the Senate, we had summits, national summits, to discuss the insecurity in the country. And we had so much agitations for calling for the review of the security architecture of the country. Mr. President, I think the situation in some places has improved, but in others has deteriorated and escalated. Let me commend our security forces. They, in most cases, commit themselves to protect us with the little resources that we give them, because we don't have enough as a country and we can't give them enough. But at all times, this National Assembly has been supportive of the security agencies, and I know will continue in the 10th session of the National Assembly. So, Your Excellency, I believe that the security situation now requires a different approach, because we have done the same thing over the years and the result has not been anything to be called successful. I listened to the man who was saying if he abducts 10, he will kill 7 and take ransom for 3. That shows how bold, how comfortable the bandits are becoming, challenging the entire nation. So those of us who are heading or members of the security or defense-related committees of the Senate have a task. We must hold those who are supposed to fight for the security of this country responsible. But when we do so, we should also be mindful of the fact that it's not only their own responsibility as well. We have, the citizens have a responsibility as well, because if you are abducting school children or students from institutions or people from their homes, other citizens may have information, may know what is going on, but nobody reports. And you cannot achieve a successful security system without citizen participation. So there is need to bring on board the participation of citizens into this fight, because it's not going to be kinetic, and only kinetic. And here, it may be a long-term thing, but I believe that there should be a national orientation of Nigerians on how to address security matters. When you see something, say something, that's what they say. But I think we should go beyond when you see something, say something. When you see something, say something at the right time to the right person. Don't just make it a social media thing. You capture somebody's picture and throw it into the system for people to just read and laugh, or maybe say, well, there's nothing we can do, throwing our hands up. So I want to suggest here that we task our committees, or our committees should task themselves, those that are defense and security related, to get the new people, because we have a new set of people. The security agencies are headed by new people in most cases. Then the service chiefs are new. We have to engage. And we must insist on measurable targets. And this is not only us in the assembly. I believe Mr. President and his team on the side of the executive, when we give resources to these security agencies, we must have clear targets. How long does it take them to make things better? Okay, this banditry in the northwest. How long? 3 months? We want measurable targets. It's not enough to push resources. It should be on the basis of what they can achieve when they are given more and more resources. But I believe that they are trying to do their best, but we have to put our eyes and ears to ensure that we know what they are doing, that we insist where we feel they are not doing well, to say you must do better than this, because we have been supporting you. Lastly, Mr. President, there must be an orientation of our citizens. I don't know how that will happen, whether National Orientation Agency or whatever, but we must have that orientation, that when we see someone, in a situation where 100 motorcycles carrying 300 bandits will go through villages and nobody will alert anyone, or when someone is alerted, he doesn't do anything, there should be consequences, especially for those that are supposed to protect us. But citizens must participate in this. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the opportunity.